International Research and Educational Society presents Derek Partridge, Jordan Maxwell, and special guest, Bill Jenkins.
Hello, I'm Derek Partridge. Because of the nature of this program, we felt that it was important for me to tell you a little about my background. I've been a journalist, author, TV reporter, news anchor, and talk show host for some 30 years in England, Rhodesia, and the United States, where I was a news anchor with Financial News Network, hosted Law in America, and Emmy Award-winning PBS specials. I've also been a spokesman for such companies as Bank of America, Transamerica Occidental, the American Red Cross, Warner Brothers, and Arm & Hammer. I've never belonged to any organized religious group, and my personal beliefs are simple and basic: to do the most conscious good and the least conscious evil during my life.
Mr. Bill Jenkins.
Man's religions, from the very beginning of recorded time, even into the pre-Cro-Magnon days, is filled with symbolism and traditions. As he tried to do something to put himself right with forces greater than he, his creator. Could have been a fire, or a cloud, or a mountain. As man became more sophisticated, he became more sophisticated in his concept of really what that power was above him. But with all of those traditions came symbolism. Symbolism for Judaism and Christianity is this: the Holy Grail, filled with wine. Or was it blood? To find out more about that symbolism, let's go to Barbara Walker's book, A Woman's Dictionary of Symbols and Sacred Objects, to find out about the cup. Symbolism of the cup is complex, beginning with matriarchal images of the womb vessel and passing on to its patriarchal replacement, another kind of blood-filled chalice of resurrection. The cup remained, the blood was masculinized. The womb's life-giving moon blood was reinterpreted as the blood of a male who naturally had to die to produce it, because men never could learn the female trick of bleeding without injury, though it wasn't for lack of trying. In dying, the male victim became a savior, whose blood was supposed to give rebirth, just as mother blood used to do. Symbolism in all of our religious life. But the ancients were right, those that predate even Judaism and Christianity. There is something about having a proper relationship with forces greater than you. Today we'd say there is something right about having a proper relationship with the creator of this universe, our creator. Many believe that there is a piece of that creator who is a part of us, that we need these learning experiences to become more godly, that our nature, character, and personality is naturally the same nature, character, and personality as the one who created us. Now the question is, does that come in myths? Does that come to you through traditions, ritual, rote? Or does it come through doing, really wanting to be that way? Not doing it out of fear, not doing it because someone told you that if you do certain things, that you will be very godly, that you will be actually fulfilling this great need, which is a part of all of us, and that is to have a right relationship with that force greater than us, the Creator, God. Let's look at this symbol of Christianity, the cup filled with wine. It had its origin in Christian history, when Jesus had the Last Supper with the disciples, and he told them that this cup, which was filled with wine then, represented his blood, which was given for the salvation of all mankind. Here again, the masculine giving his blood, whereas the woman can give her blood without hurting. Traditions, symbolisms. Is there anything magical, really, about a cup of wine? Later on, the grail or the cup itself took on great new powers and became known as the Holy Grail, and it was what caused the Crusades to go down and search for it. It's magical wonders. Really. Are we looking for magic when we look to try to improve the quality of our spiritual life? Or are we using tradition and ritual and rote as an easy way out from doing the very hard task of being a loving, caring, godly person? It takes determination, it takes will, it takes desire, and it takes understanding. Do you get that understanding from reading books of myths? Do you get that understanding from reading the story of Jesus, which sounds almost like the story of Krishna, which sounds almost like so many others as you'll hear about here? Or do you get that understanding from an inward knowing, from the very spiritual voice that you have within you? We're talking about your spiritual involvement, your spiritual growth. It is not done by doing things. It is done by being something special.
In this program, we're going to deal in verifiable facts, something that cannot readily be found in most aspects of most religious beliefs. Every one of the world's thousands of different religions claims to represent the only truth, which of course implies that all the others do not. So if you have chosen to be, or through parental upbringing or school education, became a believer, how can you be sure that your particular faith is the right one? Okay, let's suppose it is. Well, that would then make everyone else in the world sinners. But on the other hand, if your faith happens not to be the correct only one truth, then that would make you a sinner, wouldn't it? And if you're a non-believer, does that mean that you will have to pay an eternal price for your non-belief after your death, just because you didn't believe? After centuries of human existence, no one has ever yet come back from the dead with incontrovertible proof that there is anything beyond death, which also means that countless thousands of people who have spent their lives preparing for the next life may just have been wasting their time. And even if we suppose that there is something after death, as no one knows exactly what it is, how can you possibly prepare yourself for an entirely unknown situation? Although it must be acknowledged that a great deal of good has been done in the name of religion, it is by far the saddest and most tragic aspect of religion that throughout history, more men, women, and children have been slaughtered, tortured, and mutilated because of religious beliefs than all the people who have died in all of history's secular or non-religious wars. Even more sadly, in today's supposedly enlightened age, the slaughter, the torture, the mutilation, and the deprivation of basic human rights continues unabated. And weren't we taught that religion was supposed to be something to do with love? Despite this, there are still those who will argue that religion, regardless of its origin or credibility, serves a valuable and benevolent purpose in society because of the underlying teachings about being a godly or simply a good person. Again, sadly, the facts contradict this view. As in most countries where religion is widely practiced, there are more social problems and more crime than in many other countries where the practice of religion is less common. So the equation that being religious equals being a godly or good person is a long way from being universally true. And by studying the facts of history, we will find that it has never worked this way. Of course, one must acknowledge that, as with any rule, there are exceptions. But the godly or good persons are distinctly in the minority compared to all the evil that has been committed and continues to be committed, all in the name of religion and God. Consider just a few historical examples. The Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, the slaughter of Christians in Rome's Colosseum, the Catholic massacre of the Huguenots in France, the burning and drowning of witches at Salem, Massachusetts. And then today, Arabs and Jews continue to kill each other throughout the Middle East. Catholics and Protestants murder each other in the streets of Northern Ireland. Hindus and Muslims assassinate and massacre each other in India and Pakistan. And Christians and Muslims decimate each other in Beirut. As religion is the cause of all this slaughter, religion cannot possibly be the solution. It is not only murder and torture. How about the daylight robbery and extortion through implied threats and induced fear of your money by self-centered, corrupt, and sex scandal-ridden televangelists? These people, with their artistically groomed and moussed flowing locks, their fashion designer clothes, I'm talking about the men, and the women with their thick makeup, garish lips and false eyelashes, have you ever seen such vanity? And religion is supposed to espouse humility.